live. Okay, so greetings. This is Erodo Jumbo. In this tutorial, I will continue the series of the setting up an HTML5 security webcam application using an old device. So in my particular case, I have two old phones. So all I need is one of those phones to be the camera. And basically what will happen is over my local network, that's a LAN, through Wi-Fi, it's going to send pictures every 3 seconds to my workstation. So when I'm working, I'll be able to use the old phone as a security camera. So what I need the security camera to do is to take photos, or basically the video and photos of the chicken coop. So the chicken coop is a little bit distance away from the house. I don't know how many, maybe 50 feet or more. So this way, if for example a fox comes over, or a hawk, or some other day predator, I'll be able to monitor it. So the idea is not to point the camera right at the chicken coop. It's just some distance near the chicken coop. So this way, if something happens, I'll be able to go outside, yell, or just chase the predator away. That's the idea. So of course, right now I expect to use this when I'm actually around. So obviously, if I'm away, I'm not going to leave, the little dinosaurs there because nobody will be there to, to be able to protect them. So that's the gist of it. So where we left off last time is I'll explain why we left off last time and why we need an SSL certificate. So this is all brought to you by ojamboshop.com, Learning JavaScript Course. So as you can see here, the HTML camera access, it requires an SSL certificate. So because it's this is not a web, this is not an application that's on the internet. If it was, I could simply get a valid certificate using, for example, Let's Encrypt or others. But the problem locally is obviously Let's Encrypt or other certificate, even if they're valid, they will not work because it's a local host. So it's just local within my network. So my application so far does not need to connect to the internet. So the reason I decided to create my own is because I found two applications that will do what I want, but those applications haven't been updated in about 14 years. So they're outdated and they do not work even on your device. So I had to create an SSL self-signed certificate. Now, there are other ways I can get this to work. I can, for example, install Nginx, or I can install Apache server and run it that way. But for my particular application, since it's so simple, I really don't need like a full-fledged web server, HTTP server. So something light, extremely lightweight would work. But I said I just want to show you how you can run things without having to install this use too many resources. So the program I'm going to use is called Stunnel, Stunnl, and that's available on stunnel.org. You can read it here. You see, you can go download it, and it's cross-platform, so you can get it for, as you can see here, there's versions for Android, there's Windows 64-bit, and you can compile it yourself as well. So obviously, you can also, if you're on a Unix type system, most likely comes in a repository, so you just need to use a package manager. I believe Brew, for example, works on Linux, Windows, and Mac OS, so you can install it that way. All I said, you can compile it from source and just use it that way. But you shouldn't need to do that. So for example, according to the website, we are in March 2025, so a recording for this video, and you can see it's the last release is from December 13th, 2024. So what is Stunnel? Stunnel, you can go to the about page. It's just a proxy to add TLS encryption to existing client or servers without any changes to the program's code. So this way you don't need to, it runs by itself. Basically, if you don't understand what a proxy is that you run it on, you start your service on one port, and then it will listen to a different port. That's what Stunnel does, and then it will serve the certificate on that particular port. So that's how it will work. So in this particular case, if you remember PHP, if I'm using the PHP built-in web server, that one doesn't have encryption, doesn't have you can't use an SSL certificate. But by using this Stunnel tool, I'll be able to do that. So this way I can have PHP and Stunnel, which, as I said, is cross-platform compatible. So only thing you need is PHP and obviously Stunnel, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so that's Stunnel there. So we need to generate a SSL certificate. So I can use a self-signed certificate. That one is fine because, as I said, this is just it's just a local application. I mean, local as in local network. So I don't need I don't really care because it will be safe because I'll be the only one to access it. So just be careful, because using old phones most likely means they're using outdated, the operating system is outdated, hasn't been supported in a while. And so that's another reason I talk about security a lot, is because I don't want this to be on the internet. It doesn't need to be on the internet. If you want to connect some part of this on the internet, you can then maybe, when it connects to the workstation, it could be a laptop or another phone, that one you can send it something to onto the, maybe an email or something like that. Okay, just before we continue here, I just want to let you know that I'll be modifying this application as in future tutorials until I'm pretty happy with it. I've actually used it and it does work pretty well, especially after the self-signed certificate. But there are some things I'll be tweaking a little bit. For example, one of the issues I had was, by default it uses the front-facing camera. So I don't want to. I prefer to use the back-facing camera, because that one usually has higher resolution, and usually it has a zoom as well. So that's one thing I like to do. So if you want to start on the future tutorials, I have updated the code, and I'll show you down there when you can expand and see the code. So that'll be fine. So I explain what tunneling is here. It's a communication protocol which allows movement of data from one network to another. Okay, and then what a TLS is. TLS is the transport layer security. It's a cryptographic protocol for secure communication over a network. So in my case, my network will be the local access network, based just locally. To me, it's not. I don't need to connect it to the internet. And these are the two devices I'm using. One is the Apple iPhone SE, the first generation, and the other one is the Sony Xperia XA1 Ultra. This came out in 2017. So I've had it since January 2018. I've already replaced this with my new daily driver, but this still works. It has a nice camera, and obviously the Apple iPhone SE, it also works. So that one is updated to the latest iOS for it. So that's iOS 15.8.3 and Safari 18.3. And then the Sony phone here, unfortunately Sony only provide an update up to Android 8.0, but I am able to get one of the latest web browsers, so that's fine as well. And one of the reasons I'm using phones is because, as you can see here, they do for charging, they actually use very low power compared to if I had a fully fledged camera. So the good thing about this is in the future I have solar panels, so I can put it outside, maybe in a box, and I won't have to worry about it, because and I could just charge it up right from solar. So that's great. And as I said before, I've changed these two pieces of code have been changed. So if you want to get a heads up on the future tutorials, so now this it's able to select cameras. So that's not the purpose of this tutorial. That will be in a future tutorial. But I put it here so you can get a handle of the upcoming tutorials. The rest stays the same. The new difference is the Stunnel configuration. You can expand here to see the what I used for it. So you just click. You can just click expand. So before I do that, I'm going to. I don't know why this number 4 came up. I'm just going to change that and refresh the page. So that's. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know where the number 4 came from because I might have. Oh yeah, it's there. I don't know where it came from. I thought I deleted it. Oh, the keyboard must have been stuck somewhere and then it did that. So let's refresh. Okay, this is taking too long. Okay, there we go. And the number 4, where is the number 4? Here it is, 4. Okay, we save that. I'm just going to tear this off. Okay, refresh. Okay, just a second, I'm almost done. Okay, hopefully I can tie it back and put it. There we go. Okay, so this is the screenshot. So I also took a screenshot of my current phone. My current phone is a Samsung Galaxy, I don't know, 21 or 22, one of those FE. So as you can see here with the drop down, also if you're using a laptop or a desktop with a built-in webcam, or if you plug in other cameras, this is how it will ask for permissions. And if you have a phone, this is what will happen. This after it gets permissions, the drop down will have, you can select all the different cameras. So my particular phone, it has 4 cameras. You can see facing front, facing back, and facing front. So you see camera 21, 20, 22, 23. This last 2 here do not work on this phone. I think the FE version of the Samsung phones, they do come with 4 cameras, but they disable, or you can't use the these 2. I would prefer if they actually just hid them, so just physically remove them, but I guess the lazy or cheap way to do that. But the point is, whether it's a desktop or it's a mobile, you'll be able to select the camera. So this is mostly for a future tutorial. I'll show when we do the layout, so obviously make it pretty. And you see, I also made another change. If you notice here on the mobile, this the select button and the button and also the preview, they're no longer so squished. I use the meta tag for the mobile devices. So that I said again will be in a future tutorial. I'll explain that, I think the next tutorial. And obviously the preview stays the same. And this is the video we're watching right now. All right. So before we head over to the coding part or configuration, so let you know that JavaScript is open source. It follows the MScript standard, licensed under W3 software license, allows commercial use, modification, distribution, and making use proprietary. Just let you know, Stunnel, which we're using, is also free and open source. As you can go here, it's licensed under, so it does use the OpenSSL library. So Stunnel is free software and it's distributed under the GNU GPL2 or later with the OpenSSL exception, because OpenSSL has its own open source license. Okay, and As you can see here, it says Stunnel is not a community project. We retain the copyright of the source code. Please contact us for commercial support or non-GPL licenses. Free community-based support is available via the Stunnel-users mailing list. So just be aware of that when you use a software, that just pay attention to the licenses, see if you're allowed. Obviously, for my use case, I am allowed to do this, so just be aware of that. Okay. So what you need is you simply go to one more time, you go to the Stunnel, you go to download. So if you're on Windows, you can download the 64-bit, or if you're on Android, they have an Android version. And if you're on the if you're on any other system, you can download it. Even in Windows, download, compile it. Or like I said, the easier way would just be to get it from pre-compiled from some type of package manager. Okay, so now I'm gonna head over to the folder to show you the files that we're using. So I will put it here. Okay, so this is the folder, and you can see we have our takephotos.html file. We have our PHP file, which will be here, save photo.php. And we have the one where we see, which is called cphoto.html. So those are the files that we, this one just refreshes every 3 seconds. And basically, what we do is, we have a photo here called, there's a photo here, I think it was image.png file, so it looks like I deleted, but it will create a file called image.png, and it will keep on, yes, image.png. See, this is an example. I'll just click it up here. So this is how it was working. So I pointed it towards the chickens, towards the coop. This was obviously, I need a stand, so there were a few little issues, and obviously this is the Windows screen. So this was the last photo I took, because when I was pulling it up to turn the application off. But you can see it does work. This is a picture from the phone. Okay, next, what I would do is so open up a command line. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a key, a certificate, and then we're going to combine these two into this PEM file for both of them, and then we'll create a configuration file, and then we'll run Stunnel. So I'm on Fedora Linux, so I'll show you how to install it if you're on Fedora Linux, or if you need another type of Linux. So I'm gonna delete this 4 files, and I'll open up the console. Don't worry, I'll zoom in. There we go. So on Linux, it's very simple. I mean, on Fedora Linux, it's just simple sudo dnf install stnl. That's for my password. Give it a few seconds. So you see, it installed 5.7.4, and that's the one we have here. So I am using the latest one, so I don't need anything to worry about. The -1 here is probably just some tweaks that Fedora did, or there might be an update, which I'm not too sure of. But the thing is, yeah, so you see Stunnel is installed. So what we need to do is we need to create a certificate. So I'm going to use Open SSL, which you can also install yourself and to follow along, or you can install them somewhere. So you can probably even get some from online to create the certificate for yourself. Okay, so the way we do this is actually, let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me put this here. Make this. All right, I think that should probably be enough. Okay, there we go. That should be enough. Okay, so it's Open SSL. gen RSA. I'll make it 2048. You can make it bigger, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to make a key. So you see it created a key here, a Stunnel key. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this key. This is my own private key, if you will, to create a certificate. So again, I'll use OpenSSL. So new, and the key is the one we just created. So it will be external.key and x509, and we want it valid for 90 days. Out, we want the external.certificate. So then ask me what country. So because I'm in Soviet Kazakhstan, just a second here. Hi, Ed speaking. Hey, can I call you back? I'm actually in I'm doing a live stream right now. I'll call you back. Okay, bye-bye. That was interesting. So I just got a call from a customer doing the live stream. Okay, so the province, I guess I'll put Ontario. The city, I'm in Centerville. Organization, the company, so I'll just put Ojambo. Which one should I use here? Okay, I'll say ojamboshop.com. Okay, section, there's nothing there. Okay, your common server name. This doesn't matter really because of you probably use your host name. So this doesn't really matter because this is not, if I was doing this on a real, or obviously on a website, I would actually put the actual name. But this one, as I said, it doesn't really matter because I'm local. And so I'll just say ojamboshop.com. Email address. What email address should I put here? Oh, I'll use the one I did. So I'll say Edward at ojamboshow.local. Remember, this is local again, so doesn't matter. So we're done. So you see here, it created the certificate and the key. So this is the key. So if we open this up, I believe we should be able to open this up in a text editor. I'll see one of them. Where's text? Let me open up a text editor and just drag and drop it just to show you what the key looks like. Yeah, so this is the private key. You see it says begin private key and end private key. So this is the part here that's for the key. The certificate, I don't think I'll be able to do that because the certificate is a little bit different. Okay, the certificate does the same thing. I wasn't sure, it depends on the format. So here's the certificate, it says a begin certificate, end certificate. So the certificate has the same base 64 encoded stuff, same with the key. So how do you know the difference between key and certificate? It actually says right there, private key. So it's a private key. So this, you keep this yourself, you never share it with anyone. And this other one, this is the certificate that obviously you can put on a public server. So that's how that works. I'll close this up. So now I'm going to combine them into a PEM file. So I'm going to use a cat command. I don't know what the difference, what you can use on Windows, but Windows now does have Bash, so Bash will come with cat, so you can use cat. I know this is available on Macs because they are based on Unix, so they would have it as well. So we just combine them. Stunnel.pem. Now I'll open up that text file again. Okay, now I'll take the PEM file and put it here, and you can see all I did was just basically combined the certificate and the private key. So it puts them in one file. So that's what that is. If you ever wondered, now you've learned something new. Okay, I'm gonna refresh here to see if anybody wants to chat. Okay, no chat requests yet, but I'm available for chat. Okay. Next, we need to create a configuration file. So I can do this in a text editor, but I'm just going to use Nano since I'm on the command line. You can also use Vim if you want. So I can do VI. I can use Vim. You know what? Let me actually use Vim. Vim sternal.config. You can call this any you want, but config is good. Okay, okay, wait, I don't want to install Vim. I'll just use VI. Okay, VI. So you see when you get the squiggly lines, that means that you are in read mode. So when you press the insert key, you see insert. Now I can start typing. You see down here it says insert. So that's how you use Vim or VI. Okay, so now square brackets. You can make up any name you want here, but I'll just type it HTTPS. This is mandatory. HTTPS. And then I type accept equals, my IP address doesn't change, but I'll double check. I might need to change this 168.1.22. Then I tried this with 443. That did not work. I guess because I already have Apache server. Even though it's not working, it binds it only to Apache or pure HTTP type server. So what I did was instead I went with 8443 and connect. So I'll explain what this is. Accept is where this is the URL I'll be using to get the certificate, and the non-certificate one, which is one which I'll put in a PHP web server, is this one, 168.1.22, and I'll use port number 8000. And then I'll use cert equals sternal.pm. Now, if I don't want to use this, I could use the other one, which is like the CA file and the key. I don't want to do that. So by using the combined one, it's just easier. It will be able to find the key and the certificate in one file. So that's what we do here. So you see we're still in insert mode. So to escape the insert mode, you press the escape key. That's ESC. You press that. And then you press colon. You see what happened, colon the bottom here. W is for writing, and Q is to quit. If this doesn't work with something else, you can also put an exclamation mark right at the beginning, or that will also work. So I don't need that. So if I do that, you see it has been the file has been created. Now to make sure the file is created, you can use cat sternal.config. And you can see this is, so this is it here. You see you accept this one, connect is this one, and the certificate is this one here, sternal.pem, and make sure, yeah, it's a correct spelling. So now what we can do is we can start our PHP service. So again, you have to do it in this order. So make sure, if you search the internet, they will tell you that, oh, you can just use Sternal and put the accept, connect, and certificate like this as a one-liner. I tried that doesn't work. That might have worked in the past. It didn't work for me, at least for this version of Sternal. And also, it's also the order. If you do the PHP, if you run the PHP server first and then the Sternal, it also didn't work. So you have to do it in this order. So what you have to do is create the config file and then run Sternal first. .config. Before I do that, so what you can do is, you see if I put man Sternal, these are all the options for Sternal here. You see for Win32 and etc., all the sockets, blah blah, part number, all that stuff. So just man, that's a Unix type thing. So that's manual, stands for manual. So Sternal sternal.config, and then ampersand php s192.168.1.22.8000. Okay, so when I run this, you see PHP development server. So I'm using PHP 8.3, but this PHP would work in lesser versions of PHP. But you should really be using a PHP version that's supported, that's currently supported. So there we go. So the PHP server. So if I go to this URL, this one here, 8,000, I'll show you what will happen. So if I go here, and remember the file we're looking for is takephotos.html. So I'm gonna just remove this out of the way, and I'll move. I'll leave this here, so because I don't think this will get in the way. So if I go here and I type in, oops, there we go, 8,000 and /take photos.html. You see, it didn't ask for my permission and it says it's not secure. So this is and I'll show you what happened here. So you see what happened. Can I also put this? I'll put it always on top. So you see it says no such file because there's no 5 icon. So you can put a 5 icon there. There's no need for me to do that. So you can see this is all the output and the PH. So now if I put HTTPS, you see it says site cannot be reached. That's because we're using the wrong port number. So remember the port number we used was 8443. So if I do this, I get, see it says unsupported SSL request. That was before. That's fine. So now I go to advanced and proceed and save. That's fine. You see? Now it worked, and you can see down here, again, I don't have a 5 icon. I don't care about the 5 icon. So I will put allow, because it wants to use the camera. It wants to use the webcam. So I allow, and you can see now it can use the webcam. I'm going to wave my phone over it, and you should be able to see it. See, there we go. So it does work. And so if I hit record, remember it's going to send it to this file, the save photo.php. So I'm going to head over to, just in case some people did not follow the previous tutorials, I just want to show you the code for that, the code snippet, although you can get it on the article here. You can get the code snippet from jambo.com/old-photo-security-camera-SSL-via-Stunnel. I'll put this in the description as well. So this is the one we're using. You can see I called, just let's go over to NetBeans here. You see I called it chicken security camera. Let me zoom in. I'll zoom in as well. So I call it the chicken security camera, and there's a button and there's a video, and what happens is, you see I set the video to true, audio to false, and there's a button. So when you click the button to recording, it will start it will change it to recording, and record. So it will take a photo every, I'll show you that in a second. Then what it will do is it will take a photo from, put it in the canvas, then from the canvas it will convert it to a blob, because it will be a physical file or a binary file instead of just text like base64. For some reason, despite all the stuff I read on the internet, it's always a PNG file. So the type here, whatever the blob type is, it should be PNG. So I create a form data. I append the image. That's the name. It's like a form input box. Then I use fetch. So I send it to save photo.php, which is this one here. And then I use the method post and the body with FD, that's the form data. Then wait for the JSON response, and then the console log output, and then if there's an error, it will be dumped there. And see, it's every 3,000 milliseconds. That's 3 that's equal to 3 seconds. And else, when the button is clicked, then it will change to record, and I'll clear the interval. So that's why I'm up here. I do save the interval in a variable. So that way, when you start an interval, you can clear it. That means to stop it. And then we see we have save photo. It's just a PHP here. This is just PHP code, and it's very simple. We make sure it's not empty. Then we will grab the file itself. Usually PHP by default creates a unique file name for it. Then what I'm doing is I'm creating a destination. The destination is basically where this script is running, the save-photo.php. Then I give it a name, image.png. And then what I do, I use this method, move upload file, so the file from the temporary folder into the destination. And then if this is true, then I'll send a message which echo, it's a JSON encoded, status OK. So in the console, it will say status OK. That's my quick debugging to know if everything went well. So, and then because it's a JSON, if you leave any spaces, there might be an error. So that's why I put a die here, meaning that don't continue executing anything after that. So what will happen then is after this one, it will just stop. Nothing. And if this is not true, it will just stop as well. That's another quick way to know, just for quick security, because you don't want any hackers to be snooping around. So that's that one. And then we have this one, see photo. So what this one is, I call it the security camera viewer. So the image is always image.png. So there's ways to refresh this. You can put a meta tag to refresh every, say, 3 seconds, or if you want. You can put an on-body to refresh as well, some JavaScript. The problem with all those methods is you're going to see some flickering because, you know, when it reloads the page. So I prefer to the JavaScript version. The JavaScript, I'm using the sent interval. And then what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the image, this image tag. And then what I'm doing is I'm basically appending the date to it. So the first time, it's not going to include the question mark. So what I'm doing is I'll just put a question mark and whatever the current date is, I think it's a date stamp. And then after, so obviously the second, at 6 seconds, it will check. So this will no longer be true. So this, what it will do is it will simply just remove that, the question mark, everything after the question mark, and then it will append a new date now. That's it. And then this also run every 3 seconds. So this way there will be no flickering because it's not refreshing the entire page. So this is also less resources used. So that's where we left off in the last tutorial, and I'll show you this is working. So we don't need NetBeans anymore. You can use any IDEO text editor. I just prefer NetBeans because it's free and open source, and does PHP, HTML. I also installed a Python a plugin for Python code, but for this one it's just PHP, JavaScript, and HTML and CSS in a future tutorial when we do the layout. Okay, so that's not needed. I'll minimize that. So now you can also use this URL for the cphoto. What is it? cphoto.html. But that one is not really needed. You can simply just drag and drop here. You can, and you see it still has the old photo, the one I showed you, and you can even see how it's in portrait mode. So now, so this is going to be constantly refreshing. So you can simply do an inspect, and if we go to the body, you see this. It is a flashing. You see it flashed like there. You see it flashes again. So it's doing that every 3 seconds, and you see it appended the time. So the time will be changing every 3 seconds. The time does change. So you see this is 58 here. Now it's 61. So the time is changing every 3 seconds. So that it's putting a timestamp on it. Okay. So now another way to do this. Oops, I closed the. I didn't mean to do that. I'll have to go back to the ZZ folder. Just a second. I closed it accidentally. I'll put it here. And another way, if you have a photo viewer or installed it on your machine, another way to do it is you can simply open up the image, and I'll show you here. This is separate. I'll just put it here. I also put this always on top just to show you that when I start recording that, I should maybe split the screen. Well, that's fine. So it doesn't matter. So I'll just go here and I'll click record. So you see, it changed immediately, and this is the viewer. So if I go to the security viewer here, you see it also changed. Now, because nothing is happening in the ceiling, so I'm just going to put my phone over just up. So then there we go. See, I put the phone there, and there we go. So as you can see, it does work. Now, I'm going to be improving it in a future tutorial. So in the future, as I said, one of the problems, here's some of the problems. So another problem is right now, when we go to, did I close NetBeans? Oh yeah, I didn't close NetBeans here. So we can close this down. We don't need this anymore. So, and you can see here, see post, every time it posts, you see it's 200, meaning everything went well in this. So I'll show you how to close this. I'll leave this here for now. So one of the problems with the take photo is that this code, on my desktop I only have one webcam, so that's fine. On a laptop most likely you only have one webcam as well, so that's fine. The problem with the phone, even old phones, is that they usually come with a minimum of 2 cameras, one front camera and one back camera. And as you saw in the screenshot of my current phone, it comes with 4 cameras. So I would like to be able to pick a camera, because one of the reasons I also want to use a back camera is so that when it's a sunny day, for example, I don't want the screen to be facing the sun or the heat. It's just the back camera, that's fine. So another issue is I'll see if I can solve this in the future. Is I'd like to use the camera in the background, meaning that the screen doesn't have to be on. Right now the screen has to be on as well. So those are the type of things I'll try to solve in future tutorials. Okay, so the coding part of this is done. So to close this, when you're running PHP, at least on Linux, it's quick Control C, and you see it stopped. It stopped both the Stunnel running, and it also stopped the PHP running as well. So that is not needed. I can close this. I can close NetBeans, and this is still running. But so you can simply just close the tab. And the viewer also, that's not needed. Okay, and just to let you know, you can get this at stunnel.org to download Stunnel. So you can use this for any application you need where you need a SSL certificate. So as you notice, there's also an Android version here. So maybe your application needs to have some type of certificate. So you can use Stunnel for that. Or you can compile it on for other custom applications. So that's great. Now, going back here, I just want to let you know that be sure to subscribe for more frequent content. Quick reminder that every weekday, at least, around early afternoon, around 2 p.m., I'll be hosting a live stream. I'm not sure where the live streams will be. Most likely it might be on BitChute. I'll show you how you can join me on BitChute later when we finish up here. Just make sure to check ojambo.com for details. Scroll down to the footer and you'll be able to see where you can find me. So I also have learning programming courses. For example, in this tutorial, as you saw, we do use JavaScript. So I do have on ojamboshop.com. There's a learning JavaScript course. It's interactive. You learn at your own pace 24/7. There are no subscriptions. There's a one-time fee. Obviously, there's also PHP, as you saw. So with PHP, obviously available on ojamboshop.com. It's also 24/7. There are no subscriptions. Just a one-time fee. for both PHP and JavaScript. You don't need to install PHP locally. You can use the built-in web IDE. And then for JavaScript, I also have books. They come in paperback, that's a physical copy, or an ebook, available for Amazon. You search for Editor Jumbo, the links are in the description. I also put the links at the end of this article. For PHP, there's an ebook, it's available on Amazon. You search for Editor Jumbo, links are in the description. And finally, if you enjoy this article, please consider supporting me by purchasing one of my WordPress plugins, or programming online courses, or publications, or simply become a donor. You can donate here, or better, just up here in the header. It's easy for you, so you don't forget. It's available also on the mobile devices if that's how you're watching. And as I promised in the references, you see Stunnel is up there, so you can click here. You see at the bottom here, it goes to the stunnel.org website. So that's a proxy encrypting TCP connections with SSL TLS, the transit layer security. Here's the customer sets price plugin for WooCommerce on Jumbo.com, Learning JavaScript Course on JumboShop.com, Learning PHP Course on JumboShop.com, and you see how they have other courses like Python. Then for the books, there's a paperback on Amazon, ebook on Amazon for Learning JavaScript. I also have a PHP ebook on Amazon, and Learning Python ebook on Amazon. And finally, if none of those, you don't fancy any of those, I am available for web design, web development, integrations, whether it's payment processors, logistics, chat, anything you can think of. I am able to do that. I can program in PHP, Python, Perl, particularly any programming language. So if you want to learn yourself, I am available for one-on-one tutorials online. Or if you happen to be somewhere close by in Ontario, or you don't mind coming up to Centerville, you can swing by here and I can teach you in person. And of course, maybe you want to create your own applications. So maybe for mobile devices, iOS, Linux, Android, or desktop, Windows, Mac, Linux, or custom, or just web applications. For example, like this application I'm making, it's actually hosted on Linux, but it could be hosted anywhere. And obviously, the use case is for mobile device, a phone. So that's an example. Okay, and that's be sure again to subscribe for more frequent content. And as I promised here in the footer, you can see the channels here. So you can see there's Odyssey, Rumble, BitChute, and YouTube. So every day around 2 p.m. or so, you can go to the BitChute, and I'll be doing a live stream. Okay, so I am going to check one more time to see if there's any questions in the chat. And I'm not seeing any questions or requests, so I'm going to stop the live stream now. Okay, thank you, and see you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye now.